Hi, and welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today we have some exciting news. Dragons are hatching, they're flying, getting ready to fly. Maybe I'm not sure if they're flying yet. I don't want to speak that before it happens. There's all kinds of excitement going on. Um, some of these are created by artists that from shows that some of you might love. We'll ask the founder and architect of America's blockchain Dragon Chain, Joe Rhodes, is joining us on the other side of this. So make sure you like and share this video. And we'll be right back right after this. Welcome, Joe Dragon.
Hello.
Hello. So are you like the father of dragons, the grandfather of dragons?
Yeah, I don't think we don't have titles yet. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah. Okay.
Yep.
This is pretty exciting. Thanks for coming on and talking to us about this. My family, we're huge House of Dragon uh, fans. We watch all the seasons, and even our kids are into it. You know, everybody's all geared up, excited for this. So when I saw this project rolling out with you guys, I shared it with my kids. They're excited about it. And then even the cool twist that you guys have on this with the genetics of the dragons. My mom raised animals, you know, cows, goats, all kinds of things. And so she thought the genetic piece of this was so cool.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy. So yeah, thanks. That's it's interesting too, because when we're working this 3.5 years we've been working on this, and when when the animators that were working, their co-founders, um, they emailed us, and we weren't sure what they wanted. They said, "Hey, we have this dragon. We think you guys might, want to see it or something." And we're like, "Okay, it's crypto." So we're thinking maybe they're wanting to sell us something or who knows what. But we looked them up, and it's like, "Oh, wait, these guys they're real, right? They're legit." And so we met with them, and I had this deck ready. I didn't know what they were going to want, but I was gonna pitch them on doing what we're doing now. And it was funny because when I said, "Hey, what did you guys have in mind?" They said, "Well, we just wanted to see what you guys thought about it, what you guys want to do with this." And so I said, "Oh, okay." So I already had this this idea ready where essentially it would be a game and a platform and stuff, but where the hatch would be unpredictable, gameplay would be unpredictable, it'd all be based on Bitcoin blocks, and it developed into the this genome that actually changes the structure, the 3D structure of the dragon in significant ways. And it's we've only seen two hatch so far live, and we've seen a lot in test. So we know in test that the variety is really pretty crazy. But the two that we've seen are they're beautiful, they're very organic, they look real. And it's a strange thing because you have to wait, and we know some of these could take a long time to hatch.
yeah.
So it's fun, right?
The
So
unknown part of it, and it's my understanding that's because you're using, the Bitcoin and Ethereum hash, as the markers for these events to happen in these dragons' lives. Is that
right,
correct?
right, yeah, it's like it's everything in it with this dragon character is essentially derived from entropy or randomness that comes from those chains. So every single Ethereum block we take and we compare against all the incubating dragons. And you can look in the white paper, it's kind of technical stuff, but it's
Mhm.
if one in 350,000 or one in a million event happens on that block, your egg starts to hatch, and then it gathers other blocks, and then it gathers Bitcoin blocks, and combines them all. So the main point being that it would be provably impossible to predict anything about what the dragon's going to come up with, right? So you don't know what kind of dragon you're going to get. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what colors it's going to be, and it's just much more organic. And when we're seeing it happen, people can get more attached to it, right? So it's uh, it's going to be fun, and it's not going to end with dragons. We have plans for other characters, games, different little weird apps and things. A lot of it is to demonstrate how it works so that other game studios will come in and just they'll use it as a platform. They'll just hit an API so they can use some of the similar things in their games. But some of the rarities are going to be so absurd that it's going to be really fun to see happen, because you never
And
know what you'll
so so some of the possibilities of that, out of my mind, are thinking of, being able to trade more rare, more scarce.
get.
Um, are they considered NFTs?
Um, well, I mean, you could. I mean, we definitely will have a Web3 component where you'll be able to take your dragon and export it onto Ethereum or maybe Solana or maybe somewhere else. It depends on what people want,
Okay.
and put it on a hardware wallet for safekeeping, um,
Okay.
uh, or for trading out there. But at the same time, I'm this is for me personally. The team, we're all different people on the team, but
Right.
um, that I'm particularly more interested in the normie audience, the people who haven't ever touched crypto, right? Um, because I think the market of people who are Game of Thrones fans, Tolkien fans, D&D fans, and how many other movies and games
Yeah.
involve dragons and other RPG things. Those people are massively, the market, I guess, that they would represent is massively bigger than the NFT crowd. And what I would like to see is them, to come in because, the dragon it's a beautiful dragon. Maybe they see one they really want, so they come in and buy it. And if we can get them in and realize, this isn't just a crypto bro thing or anything like that. It's something where there's real value. There's some organic nature to it. There's the provably unpredictable things you can't get in traditional games, that they might become new adoption, right? Which that's what we really want to see, where we could explode the adoption and then expand it, because then you end up with other characters, other games, and we're going to have a native marketplace. So even if you don't
Okay.
care to um, install a Web3 plugin, or do any of the crypto stuff, you don't have to. And you don't have to pay the fees. You'll do there'll still be royalties and things like that, but it'll be much simpler, right? You'll have your
On
account.
platform.
Yeah,
That's really great for normies and, beginners and people that are less technical, just to stay in one on
yeah,
have kind of that one-click Amazon experience,
yeah,
to stay on platform to trade. I could also see people, having kind of that third party or second rail opportunity of betting on
yeah.
because it's that unpredictability, like what is it that there's a website called like Cashy or something like that,
Mhm.
or I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a betting website, and they've been doing all the kind of using it like polling,
Really?
watching how people are betting. And I could see something like that where people don't even have to own a dragon or a dragon egg, but they might start betting on.
Which one's going to hatch next?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it going to be, a water egg or a fire egg that hatches next? Stuff like that. Yeah, we have dozens, and I'll tell you, some of these games will never be made, but
Mm,
several of them will. And essentially, we were putting together everything from Italian card games to dungeon crawlers to open world games, in order to test the character and the genes, the genome itself, um, in use in those games. Where how would you, it's a simple card game, you know, uh, like Briscola or one of these Italian card games or something like Crazy Eights. How
Mhm.
could you expand that game if you had if every card was a character that had a genome? So I might have the equivalent of a five of clubs, um, but in this case it has five or six different genes that might mean my five of clubs in certain cases will trump your five of clubs, depending upon the current season, depending upon
Season,
the whatever the
situation.
trump is, that type of thing. And as simple as that is, it's really crazy because it increases the playability, like the number of times you can play and have different things happen. And we're seeing things where concepts of like gene utility, where what we really want to do is make a game that focuses or maybe has some magical trait or some unique trait that is captured in some gene, meaning it's going to create, and you could look at it a couple of different ways. It's going to create different strategies where people will want to, right, I'm going to get this type of character that has these traits and this type of character has these traits in order to defeat somebody else who has some other strategy. Or it could be just, you think about it from the marketplace perspective, that all of a sudden there may be all these dragons that, maybe they're kind of normal looking, and they have pretty common characteristics, but for whatever reason, they all have this one gene and a really powerful value that all of a sudden become valuable. So it's a really interesting thing for collectability, because it isn't just, oh, there are only so many of these. It's that this one is seemingly very common character, but this one gene happens to make it stand out. And stuff like that could totally, just change the whole way people do collectability. So we're experimenting with a lot of that. And um, it's just it's very much more like real world, because it's a lot more complex than just saying, okay, it's a five and its suit is diamonds. So stuff like that, it's, I don't know, it's neat.
Yeah, it is really neat. I have shared a screenshot, which was our thumbnail for today's show, which shows the different environments and an egg in each environment, just so people can kind of get an idea. Well, excuse me, when we're talking about like, so there's is it land, air, fire, and
Earth,
ice?
air, fire, and water.
Water, okay. Environments, and so, like, you might get a fire egg, but it might incubate, or it depends on where it incubates and where it hatches, that it could affect the gene. Is
Huh.
that correct?
Yeah. So we did the elementals just to make some level of variety. That um, when you first, and I could go back to the beginning, when you first spawn the egg, um, we create something called a charm of making. And if you know any of the lore of, like, dragon lore, and I've been in Dragon Chain forever, so we've had Easter eggs of this since 2017. But there's something called the charm of making that is essentially, if you remember in the 80s, Excalibur, that
Oh,
the spell that Merlin, that he calls out and that Morgana then steals from him, that it's called the charm of making. And it's something, I think it's in Old English, but it's either Gaelic or Old English or something, but one way or another, it's a poem. And it's the meaning was that it brings the dragon, it manifests the dragon. And so, in the movie, all the fog appears and the dragon comes, right? And yeah, they never showed the dragon, I don't think, but either way, it's interesting. So we call it the charm of making, and that is kind of like the fingerprint or the start of the uniqueness for your character, or which starts as an egg. And from that charm of making, we deterministically set the egg density. And the egg density, if
that's
it's 100,000, it means that every Ethereum block will give you a 1 in 100,000 chance of hatching, right? If it's 10 million, it's 1 in 10 million, and it's and they're like 7,100 a day. So if you get a 10 million, which is like, it's a 1 in 1,000 chance that you'll
Yeah.
get a 10 million density egg. We've only seen that. We've never seen it in the live testing. We've seen it in the where we did mock blocks, and we had millions and millions of blocks. But the average hatch time for a 10 million egg will be like 3.8 years.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So it's going to take a long, but we wanted to mimic kind of like with, Game of Thrones, where there are these eggs that people think are dead, you know,
Yeah.
um, and, but most of them will hatch in the first month or so. And one way or another, we determine the house, which is the house element, which is earth, air, fire, water. And then we determine the magic element, which is kind of an easy way to see the rarity. So if you see like a water egg that has lava in the background, you know
Mm-hmm.
that it's a very rare, is less than 5% that are water fire, um, or fire water, right? So the opposites are the rarities, and they also would give you unique colorings that because the way that the elements are mapped to the colors of the dragons when they come out, it all is based on those elements. So it's a really neat way to keep it clean. Yet there are, I think there are almost as many variations of these dragons as there are stars in the universe. You're never going to get two of them that are the same. So it's going to be pretty cool.
That is very cool. So are you disclosing the artists
Mm. Yeah,
in
we
your
were waiting until they
marketing package?
first hatch. Yeah. So if you pull up, I think in the news on the site, you can click and actually show their names, because essentially
On
yeah, go to news, I think
team or
article.
news?
You could go to, yeah, team, I think might have it on there too.
The
Actually,
artists behind the flame.
yeah. So um and essentially it's the lead animator is was the lead animator for Game of Thrones. And these guys have done Avatar and Harry Potter, and um, there's a Predator series. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that they've done. So
Wow.
they're top, top class 3D animators, and it's they're amazing what they've done. And it took a good deal of work to get everything tuned, and to make them they look real. They don't look fake. Some of the first ones we did, the color model that I had coded up just didn't work. It looked like it looked like bubble gum. It looked like cartoonish, right? So we kind of went back to the drawing board, and it took quite a while, but we're pretty happy with them. Every time I see them, there are so many that, like say in the very last test run that we did, there was one in there I've never seen in all the testing. I'd never seen one like it, and it was like, it kind of came out of nowhere. It was really interesting. So that keeps happening.
That's kind of cool to watch. So do they
Yeah,
look the same when they hatch? Are they immediately like full size, or are
yeah,
they baby
yeah.
dragon?
We did it where it's you have, it's probably a time, maybe there's some magical, I don't know how you'd explain it, right? There's some probably magical time thing that happens, but either way, yeah, they immediately become adults.
Immediately full size.
Um,
So they can defend themselves
yeah.
immediately.
Now, when we do breeding, which we fully intend to do, we already
Okay.
have a white paper on it. I already have the base, uh, the base design for it, and uh, we have to implement it. We have to decide, how in the world do you do it, and I've never been, we probably should talk to your mom, because I've never been in that world to know, how do you find the other animal to breed them with, and how do you contract, what are the, we have to figure that stuff out. We're going to put it on a smart contract, so you'll be able, it'll probably be something like, where, let's say you have an attractive one, or you have one that has some unique values, that you would be able to mark it on the page of the dragon that this one is up for breeding. If you want to breed with this, here's the fee or whatever, right? And essentially, that'll probably be how it works, and you'd be able to make money breeding, uh, or having your own set, and you breeding them in your own party. But
You'd also want to be able to have like a smart contract or something where you could guarantee, because it would make it more valuable for whoever was purchasing that to know that there was going to be scarcity um,
oh yes,
in the
totally.
breeding.
Right? Yeah, maybe it's
Um,
maybe I do scarcity by pricing it high. Maybe I do scarcity by saying I'm only going to breed this dragon 3 times
right,
or
right.
once, right? And that
Yeah.
way somebody has to come in and do that. And we know that depending upon that gene utility, we know that, for instance, there's a lot of stuff that we did in experimentation that if you look at the way the genes work for the colors, right, that there are several mechanisms that are essentially dormant genes where, let's say you have a dragon that its secondary, or it's called companion color, is really high saturation red, very bright red, right? Or maybe some other color, orange, purple, something. But either way, whatever it is, that it's entirely possible that the zones of the dragon, which are controlled by other genes, have a really low masking value. So essentially, it's highly bright red, but you don't see anywhere on the dragon.
I don't
So
see it.
you could rebreed it with another dragon that doesn't have the high bright red, but has all of the zones very highly unmasked. So you can see the color, and you could breed those two together, and you theoretically would get potential to have the red show, or whatever combo of colors. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there that we're still, we know will come in, and we modeled it for that reason. And there's also, like, there's a pattern which is from the house. So a fire dragon has a different pattern than an air dragon, for instance, and that it not only has a masking, so they can be different gradients showing on their wings or legs or backs and heads. Um, and I think there are 6 zones. I'd have to look. It's been a while, but there are 6 zones, and there's also for the pattern another gene that literally is on or off. So you could, same thing. You could breed it to try to bring out some trait that doesn't show, but is genetically there. So there's a whole bunch of really neat stuff that we can do. And this is just the first, like I said, the first one. We have a lot of other concepts for other characters that we're considering to do. And for the platform, not only we're thinking about hitting upon having an API, an interface for uh, people who make games in order to use these character capabilities and entropy, randomness stuff, but also um, we're we're thinking of this could very well be something where people who don't even intend to make games can come in and make characters, and people would collect various types of characters, especially if they have those rarities and everything else. So it's just a really cool way to do something that it could become a game even if you didn't intend it to be, right?
It's just really cool how interactive it is. So I have more questions for you.
Yes.
It says the spawn cycle is active. So there are only so many eggs released at each time.
Yes. So I'll tell you, when we started, this would have been a few years back, we were looking at, NFT space. How does, you know, h- what causes something to go viral? What causes something to be, well sought after? And everywhere we were looking, there were all these pitfalls. Like, if you don't do everything right, you don't sell out, it's over. Nobody wants it anymore. If it doesn't sell out, it doesn't matter. And so we started thinking, okay, how do we redefine all that? And one of the things was because now everybody knows the animators are, come from Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Um, we originally intended to get this out before the House of Dragons seasons in order to get a little
Mm.
bit of extra, free potential publicity. We weren't able to launch in time, and we weren't comfortable with what we were had out. So what we did is, I went back and said, hey, instead of just we were going to do 4 cycles where you would have an earth cycle, air, water, and fire cycle, and that was going to be it. And instead we said, hey, let's instead use the entropy. So you can't even decide what kind of dragon you get, what kind of egg. You just come
Okay.
in and you get what you get. And then we run it on a cycle. And so essentially we have this Genesis season is the first season, right? It says in the upper left corner of the site there. And um, every season lasts 28 days. And every spawn cycle lasts 14 days. So essentially it's half on, then the second half of the cycle, you can't spawn anymore, but everybody knows the next season starts 2 weeks. And that repeats forever. And essentially it gives us, for when we make games, when we make new characters, we have a calendar. And like if you go to community and you click on one of those dragons, you can see one of the reasons
Oh, I can see 'em.
that it makes sense. Like click on one of the hatched ones. There are only 2 out like that right there.
Yeah.
That if you click on its or show its name towards the bottom, um, that you can see,
The
and
long name.
I won't be able to pronounce it here. I'll zoom in here. Hava, Eluigwe, Esse, or Essa, Minand Iwilith, right? And you can see what languages those come from, right? There are 2
Okay.
Elvish languages, and then there are 2 real world languages. And um, but it's so if you say that's its name, Primal Dragon of the House Air, spawned in a Genesis season with air magic. And it'll also say what age it's spawned in later. Genesis season, there's no age. It's just the first, right? And we will, very first season is Earth after this. So it's about 7 days away from today, or sorry, 21 days away from today. And then it'll go air, water, fire, and it loops, right? And one way or another, every 4 seasons is an age. And the dragons themselves, you can see when they hatch, have a house element, a magic element, a spawn element, and a hatch element. And those 2, if they hatch in Genesis, they're you'll never get those names again. Like I think there are 50 or 60 Genesis names that you can only get if you either spawn or hatch in Genesis season.
Okay.
After that, it's it. And then everything else is elemental names, and they're about 250 or 260 names of each. So there are tens of millions or hundreds of millions of name combinations too. So and we know the collectability there because people want an Elvish name, or people will want a name in whatever their own native languages or whatever else. So it'll be fun.
This is so cool. Okay, so I was looking at if I wanted to get a dragon,
Yes.
I guess I would start with an egg, right?
Yes.
So I would go to the spawn. Well, first I have to go to Drakaria.com,
Yes.
and I would need to log in first, correct?
Yes. Yes. In fact, like
Sure.
we're doing a giveaway because right now you can't buy
That's
them
right.
at all,
Let's show the
right?
giveaway.
Genesis season, the only way to spawn an egg is to get a gateway key. And we are giving away 42, and I think we have 16 left to give away. And so there are those 42, and then there are uh, 15 or 17 for the
Right,
team.
because I went to the spawn thing and you
Yeah.
can't I'm sorry, I'm not sharing
Right,
the
right,
right screen. Sorry, guys. I went to the spawn thing one day, I was trying to figure it out, and you can't get them.
right. Yep. You can't get them yet. In Earth season, you'll be able to buy them, and
Yeah.
there'll only be 100 in Earth season, and they're going to be only $25. So they'll go
Wow.
pretty fast, I think.
Yeah.
But if you're watching, go register, because what we're doing is we're going to pull all of the registered accounts in a list, and when you register, ideally put a display name in. If you can't, it still works, but if
Yeah.
there's a display, you can put your name or put whatever you want in there. But one way or another, um, we will have something posted. It'll be on chain, and uh, I think tomorrow you probably, yeah, tomorrow we're giving away 3 keys. Thank you. You have
Mhm.
it up
Yep.
there. Friday we're going to give away 5 keys, and then Monday we'll give away the last 8 keys. And that's it. And there'll be instructions, but the only thing you really have to do is register. So just go there and register. You need an email, and that's about it. So
So everybody can participate in this. It's a great way to like just onboard. And once again, it's that kind of entropy kind of onboarding as well. Like everybody has a chance, go jump on there,
yep,
register, and then follow Drakaria World on Twitter or X, whatever you
yes,
want to call it,
yes,
and watch for your registered name, right? That's what would come up on the Wheel of Fun.
yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
and so then they've been doing these little spinny wheel things, and if you're the winner, then
These will
you'll
be chain. We're gonna actually just pull it
oh,
from the chain. We haven't been doing that 'cause we haven't had time to, but yeah,
okay.
these will be very serious.
Very
But,
serious
but
winners.
it'll be, yeah. We'll post who the winner is, and we. The good thing about the way we're doing it here is we'll be able to just give you the key right away. Like say come Monday, there's only going to be 2 more days to spawn an egg. So I'm hoping everybody pays attention, because if you win on Monday, you're going to want to spawn it. Now, if you don't, if for some reason, you're on vacation, you don't see you don't have to be present to win or anything. It'll be in your account, and you can always use that Genesis key in the next season for a free spawn. And depending, I'm kind of watching, because there's a chance that I think that some of the people are holding their Genesis key to see if
I
it's,
wondered.
yeah, because there are
So
two or
then
three
your
spawn.
your egg would have a Genesis spawn, but
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
whatever.
no, it'll still be whatever it is, but those
Okay.
keys are going to be pretty collectible, because there are only 59 of them, and that's where the future seasons are going to be the same way. You can sponsor, let's say you have a something, a company, something, or a project, whatever. You can sponsor a key, change the graphic for it,
Oh,
and they might be really rare, right? So people will collect them and trade them,
yeah.
and you can use it. Even when you use it, you still keep the key. It's just a used
Yeah.
key, right? So
Mhm.
you want to use it once.
Funny, I have things that rare and collectible milk keys.
What? Oh, whoa.
Like, I have some from Pepsi, I have them from
Really?
these are, these antique,
Yeah,
not antique, vintage, sorry,
I remember those.
Purity Protector. I mean, they're all different. I got them at an estate sale, but it's funny that you're talking about collectible keys, and they have different, like, Pepsi or different milk companies, whatever, but
Yep,
there's collectors of these little milk bottle
yep,
keys,
yep. Oh,
and
speaking of which,
now we're having the digital version.
you mentioned something outside, not live, months ago, and we watched this that person who was basically talking about something that sounded like what we were building back then.
Oh,
I can't remember. Do you remember that? She was like going through. She had some vision of something, and she was talking about dragons and eggs. And you mentioned this sounded like Drakaria to me, and so you
oh,
remember that? I
that's
can't
my
remember it. I
my
have it.
little
I have it stored somewhere.
I think that's my little, friend, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
I
it was really,
forgot about that.
yeah. It's kind of crazy. So because I mean, when I listened to it, I'm like, whoa. I mean, there's some stuff that really, really was hitting close to what we were doing. But
And I didn't know.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, you didn't know anything about those details. Like she was talking about the genes. She was talking about the genes, but she wasn't calling it that. But I'm like, whoa, that's bizarre. So whatever she was,
Oh, I can't wait to go back and find that
yeah,
interview and
yeah,
see
we
if
need
I
to
can.
find it. I have it somewhere in a link because I sent it to a couple other people on the team to listen to, and they're all like, "What? This is crazy."
Mm.
So anyway,
Oh, I love that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Exciting, exciting stuff. Well, are there other things that we should share? I think this is a great way for people to get involved. I love that you guys have it just so open, and people can build with this. They could come
Yeah.
to you with ideas for other games or characters,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Um, and the community aspect of it, Dragon Chain, of course, America's Blockchain, with Den.social. I have the Mighty Lair. Everybody's welcome to join the Mighty Lair and be a part of that. We have a chat going in there. But you've got that community element even here on
Yeah.
Drakaria as well.
Yeah.
How do you see that kind of playing out with the community element?
In fact, we've been waiting for the first dragons, and we're going to open up the lair. We have a Drakaria lair on Den. We couldn't open it because we had test images in there. So we had stuff from way back on, and we didn't want to reveal the dragons yet. So we will be doing that soon because it uses Drakaria for all the or sorry, Den for all of its governance. And
Oh,
the intent is to have similar to DenDAO, where we're going to have the founders that are, those are all the votes there are right now. But then at some point, there will be two other votes, which are a combination of behavior on the system and primal characters, which right now it's only the primal dragons, and they have to be hatched. So you can't vote with an egg, right? You have to
oh,
have a
okay.
dragon. And then uh, we think the standard characters, where the primal characters are kind of unique because the supply, it starts, I guess we should talk about that. It starts at 25 bucks a piece and there's 100. If all of those sell out, then the supply will increase 5x,
That's right. I
right?
like this, yeah,
Yeah.
explaining the supply thing
Um,
because that is a really, interesting calculation of how that works.
yeah, it's broken down. So I probably won't remember it exactly. You can look in the white paper, but
Okay.
it is like, say, the first 20% will get a 2x. The next 20% will get a 3x, 4x, 5x. And so if we sell it 100%, the second season there'll be 500. So let's say it cools down and, maybe, somebody nukes somebody in the world and nobody's paying attention to anything anymore.
Yeah.
That, let's say then not too many are spawned the second season. There'll be a minimum of 100 because we want to make sure those are there. If randomly, we get attention somewhere, that there will at least be 100 there. But but essentially it can squeeze the supply back down, and it can grow and grow and then squeeze it right back down, which makes it interesting. And at the same time, uh, you have a proportional increase in the fee every time. The fee will never go down. It'll go up max 10% every season. So, you get a reasonable increase every season in the fee, but we originally had it at a 5x, and in testing we realized we wouldn't get enough dragons to show, to see the variety, right? Which we
Okay.
want to show everybody the variety of them. So, and we also don't know how long it'll take for mass awareness. So it could be many ages before the general public know about it. So we wanted to keep it not crazy. And some of the other characters in the future will probably have a lot higher level of fee increase. But for this one, we wanted to keep it at least a little conservative, and yet it'll never drop back down. So, that also means at some point they'll be probably too expensive to spawn any new eggs. And that's when
Hmm.
you would then go to the marketplace or go breed them instead, right?
Wow.
So it'll
Okay.
be, if you want, new genes, then you need to spawn, right?
Then you
So
have to spawn to get
yeah,
new genes.
so
Um, There's a really good question. I'm curious what your response is to this.
Ah,
So
yes.
any says in next season, 100 eggs is limited supply. Do you have a plan to stop from a mass buy from a single user?
Mhm.
Or is it first come, first serve? Like gas war, what payment methods are available? How does it make how it
Okay.
DRGN to fly? And is it intended to make DRGN to fly? I don't know.
Okay. So
Question.
this is an excellent question because uh, early on, especially, we originally only had 50 in the first season. We decided, okay, let's make it 100 because we already, we know 50 is not anywhere near enough. And what we did is we have, and it's so funny because anything we do can pretty well be gotten around. So what we do is we put friction in place, right, to make it reasonable. But we can't stop everything. If somebody wants to buy, 30 of them, it's going to be hard to keep them from doing that because they could just hire somebody and give them money and they could still buy more of them. So there is a little bit of that, although there's friction behind it. And what we did is we at least made it so that you can only spawn 10 at a time on your account. And when those spawn, then you can come back and do another 10.
Okay.
And um, the biggest concern I had was people trying to lock it out so people couldn't buy. And we've gotten rid of most of those angles in the way it's designed. But yeah, we have it, as of now anyway. And we'll see how it works. And if it totally fails, then we'll add some extra friction to it. But yeah, right now you can buy 10 at a time, up to 10 at a time. And we might even change that for these early seasons. We might make it 5 at a time. We haven't really talked about that yet. What else was there? Let's see.
They asked about what
Oh,
payment methods are available.
okay. And I say Gas War doesn't exist because it's on Dragon Chain.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
Okay.
like all of the fees are handled by Drakaria on the back end. So that doesn't affect us. But the so everything, I guess, in saying that, everything uses Dragon. So
Oh,
in
cool.
every single transaction, every spawn, every hatch, every uh, major user event, especially when we get into the building a marketplace, that's all going to be running on Dragon. So every single thing is a Dragon Chain transaction. So that's for certain. It's also going to get us more attention, and it's going to get us more attention for which is what's needed for the innovations. Because this thing is chock full. This thing is 3.5 years worth, and maybe even more. Because I mean, I would say most of these concepts, I was telling people about at Disney. I was telling people about when we first rolled out, hoping someone would come in and build something like this. And at some point we're like, okay, let's just build it because we know what's possible. We know what we want to do. And all of the innovations that are in there can be applied for uh, many other things, right? I mean,
Mhm.
this is a very entertainment, consumer oriented project, but some of the features that it uses could be applied for really
Real world solutions.
real world high security things, right? That are
Mhm.
very serious, nothing to do with, dragons or anything like that. So, um, you know,
Very interesting. I have one other question for you. The golden egg, because we are already into the first season, and we're seeing there's only 16 um, eggs left to spawn, or 17, I believe. But I stuck one in my cart, so I'm hoping I'll get a key.
yes,
Um, so,
yes,
uh, want to manifest that. But tell us about the golden egg. You kind of talked about sponsored prizes a little bit if
yeah,
you want to get into that as well. But
yes.
what is the
One of
golden
the,
egg?
one of the early partners that they're not here right now. We think they'll come back. They we the timing didn't work out, but they had asked. They wanted to give something away.
Oh,
Especially in the early days, how could we facilitate that? inside, and we said, oh, we should just have a golden egg. And so essentially, every season, as long as there are more than one spawns. So if you only get one egg spawned, it's not guaranteed to get the golden egg. If you get two eggs spawned, okay. And on the very last event of the, and I can't tell truth, I'm going to have to check. I think it's the end of the cycle. It's either the end of the cycle or end of the season. But when that closes out and there are no more spawns, so we know, okay, these are the eggs that spawned this season. As long as there's two or more, one of them and only one of them will be selected, and it will become the golden egg for that season, which makes it even more rare. And it will get a golden egg image, so it lives forever with that egg and that dragon. So when you spawn an egg and it hatches, the egg and the dragon are inside the same. If it were an NFT, it's the same thing. And in this case, it's an asset, we call it, but it's one way or another. If you get the golden egg, that's also in there. And then you separately will also get a golden gateway key that you can then use in any future season. So you get a free spawn.
Okay.
And if there is a sponsor for that season, you'll get whatever prizes they had. If they're giving away, a gaming system or a car, or who knows what sponsors will get. That's what that'll be. And I think some of the early sponsors, I think we're gonna try to, have Dragon Chain sponsor one, and we'll probably give away some dragons or something like that.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun because it just adds more gameplay to it. So
businesses could reach out to Drakaria World for sponsorship opportunities of these golden eggs.
Right. It'd be super fun.
That is a very
And
great.
when they do that, they'll either, if they want to provide it, or we'll make something for them, but they'll have their own gateway key graphic. So, it can have their logo on it. It could have, whatever they'd want on it. It could be anything. So it'll be fun.
That is interesting. Annie has another great question. If I pay with Dragon for eggs, does it affect my time for my wallet?
So we should say how you can pay, right? So the first method is credit card. Simple, right? We can sit normies. We want anybody able to come in and just buy with a card. Second is, I think that we have voted, and this is variable. We could add stuff later, but I know we're going to accept Ethereum and US stable and dragons, and we could add stuff. We should probably add Litecoin, as a matter of fact, but we haven't even talked about it, so we're just trying to keep stuff simple. But for the dragons, it would only affect, like, if you know how time works, if you have a balance of 1,000 dragons and you've held those dragons in that one wallet for 1,000 days, you would have 1,000,000 time, right? And so if you then, let's say you sent one dragon out, the way time works, you will lose 1,000 time. So you're holding 1,000 time for every dragon that's sitting in a wallet, and so therefore, the time would be lost, but it would only be lost for the ones that you used.
Just those
So
ones. Okay.
And what wallet is?
What wallet would be a good wallet for Dragon?
Yeah, any
Any.
that can accept ERC token.
Yeah.
So anything at all. Yeah.
You might have to add, like I had to add the token on Exodus or whatever, but still. And I think it's on. I think you have to do the same thing on Trust. I'm not sure.
Probably on most of them. Like I know I use my crypto, right? Just a local wallet, right? Hardware wallet. And you have to tell it to scan for tokens, and then you have to checkbox which ones, that you want to actually show up on your in the balances. So,
Yeah. Good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this is so much fun. I'm looking forward to the drawing for Gateway Keys. And do you guys have a sponsor lined up for, or you think you're gonna do some Dragon Chain giveaways
I
with
think the first one, because we didn't have any, that's just the assumption. But somebody popped up, we would say, oh, let's just go with it. We are. It's in fact it's written in the white paper. There, the process is that it will be community selected later. So somebody could come in and say, I want to sponsor with this, and somebody else, I want to sponsor with this, and the community will select which one to use, right? And the next one will probably just be the season following or something.
That's
So
exciting. And what platforms is Dragon on for exchange? I think you can go to like coin whatever.
you can go to Coinbase and get it through
There's
their wallet. So the Coinbase wallet can buy it. I think you can definitely buy it on
like a
uh,
lot of the swaps have it. Yeah,
yeah,
Uniswap.
Uniswap.
Um,
Uniswap, we were blocked until about a month and a half ago. Yeah, because it's a decentralized exchange. They somehow blocked us. We were told that they were asked to block us. They didn't tell us who. But anyway, yeah, you can get it on Uniswap, and I know you can get it in Europe. I can't remember what the
and
exchange is
Sushi
there.
Swap distance thing is another one. So maybe
Yes, that's right.
support the swap that
That's
wasn't
right.
blocking.
And I think that was the one that was, I think, seemingly the most real decentralized way to get it. Because even the Coinbase stuff is funny that we think they were using Uniswap because Uniswap had they were reporting volume, but you couldn't actually buy it, so they were only letting Coinbase buy it. Yeah, very
Wow.
weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, exciting, exciting times. Remember everybody to keep your eyes out. Go follow Drakaria World right now on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. So that you can be paying attention. Go to drakaria.com and register your email so that you can say that you're in it to win it, and then follow them on Twitter or X so that you're ready to get that Genesis season key. Maybe you'll get the golden egg on a Genesis
Yep.
season. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. All right. Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate you coming by and sharing all this exciting news. Um, the Dragon family is growing. So
Yes.
see
Thanks
you
a
guys
lot.
next time. Yeah. Take care.
Bye.